The acrid stench of gasoline filled the night air as floodlights cut through my bedroom window at 3 a.m. I jolted awake, heart pounding, to the sound of metal grinding and boots stomping on my driveway. When I rushed outside, I saw their members of the HOA board, armed with clipboards and smug smirks, circling my lawn like vultures. They pointed, measured, whispered, and snapped photos of my grass, as if it were a crime scene. Then they left a bright orange citation nailed to my door. A $1,000 fine for grass height. I stood frozen, the paper trembling in my hand. My yard wasn't just turf, it was the home where I raised my children, the symbol of decades of work. Their arrogance reeked stronger than the fuel in the night. They thought I'd bow to their threats, but what they didn't know, the gavel was already in my hand. By morning, the neighborhood looked the same, sunlight spilling over manicured lawns and humming sprinklers but to me. Everything felt different. That orange citation wasn't just a piece of paper. It was a direct attack on my life's work. For 20 years, I had poured sweat and sacrifice into this home. Every brick, every tree, every blade of grass carried memories of late-night study sessions with my kids, summer barbecues with neighbors, and the promise I made to my wife that we would always have a place to call ours. The HOA didn't see that. To them, I was just another box to check, another family to control under their petty rules. And when I checked the mailbox later that day, the letter inside confirmed it, their first bold move. A final warning stating that failure to pay within 7 days would result in legal action. The fight had officially begun. The harassment didn't come quietly. It roared into my life like a storm. By the next morning, my lawn had been marked with fluorescent spray paint, obscene words scrawled in a mocking script. My mailbox reeked of rotten eggs, the sulfur stench lingering in the humid air. Flyers appeared on neighbors' porches accusing me of being a troublemaker who refused to respect community standard. And then came the fines stacked, like bricks of intimidation. One for a cracked driveway, another for unauthorized flowers. Even my son's basketball hoop was labeled a hazard and slapped with a penalty. Every sound became a reminder of their power. The thud of another envelope hitting my porch, the hiss of whispers from neighbors too afraid to speak aloud. The HOA wasn't just fining me, they were trying to break me. But with every strike they made, I only grew more certain. They had no idea who they were messing with. They thought they had cornered me. But while they scrolled citations and spread lies, I quietly gathered my own arsenal. In my study, beneath the steady tick of the grandfather clock, I opened files that bore a seal they could never outrun the county courthouse, because what they didn't know was that I wasn't just a homeowner. I was the judge they would one day stand before. I cataloged every citation, photographed every act of vandalism, and documented the threats in meticulous detail. Neighbors who had been bullied for years began slipping notes under my door, telling me their stories, begging for someone to finally stand up to the HOA. And slowly, word spread. A local reporter caught wind of the drama, and suddenly, a spotlight began to shine where the board least wanted it. The game had shifted. For the first time, the HOA wasn't hunting, they were being hunted. The HOA's arrogance hit its peak on a sweltering Friday evening. I returned home to find a neon-pink notice taped across my front door, declaring my property in violation and scheduled for forced lawn service. But this wasn't just a fine. It was a takeover. That night, trucks rumbled in, engines growling, as hired workers prepared to strip my yard bare without permission. Their laughter mixed with the shrill bark of the HOA president, a woman drunk on her own authority. But I wasn't watching helplessly this time. From my briefcase, I pulled documents that carried more weight than any clipboard. Court orders, signed under my authority, restraining the HOA from further action. As the workers froze, deputies stepped onto the scene, badges gleaming under the streetlights. Cameras clicked, neighbors gathered, and for the first time, the HOA stood cornered. "They trapped, eh?" D said for me had just slammed shut on them. The fallout was swift, louder than any gavel I'd ever brought down. Overnight, the HOA's glossy facade crumbled. The president, one strutting through the streets with her clipboard, now stood pale as deputies escorted her away in handcuffs for fraud and misuse of funds. Their hidden bank accounts were exposed, their secret meetings declared illegal, and their empire of intimidation dissolved in front of the very neighbors they had tormented for years. But victory was more than legal, it was personal. My family once again sat on our porch. They are sweet with fresh-cut grass, not the sour stink of sabotage. Neighbors, freed from the chokehold of fear, joined us for barbecues and laughter under the setting sun. The same lawn they tried to use against me now stood as a symbol of resilience and justice. And now I ask, what would you do if your HOA tried this on you? Have you faced a Karen with too much power? Share your story. And don't forget to subscribe for more.